Hi, welcome to SPR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Looking for value in Week 2 of the NFL preseason. Yes, there can be betting value in the preseason. Right now, we're going to look at Oakland, Minnesota. Joe Duffy, preseason, as much value or maybe even possibly more than the regular season. What's your take?
You have to know how to handicap it, and it is to use uncertainty to your advantage. When the odds makers make the lines, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's more certainty by the time we can bet it, but at times the odds makers tend to over-adjust. So it's a completely different animal, and that is why some people think preseason's a crapshoot, which it is not. And I have a record more so over the last about 20 years that say that that is a complete falsehood.
In this game, Minnesota right now a 4.5-point home favorite, which is a high line, of course, for a preseason game. Totals 38.5 or 39, which has interestingly come down a bit since it opened earlier in the week, which I guess is a little bit surprising since there does appear on paper to be a lot of strong quarterback play for this game, right? 3 quarterbacks for Minnesota, Sean Hill, Bridgewater, and Taylor Heineke all played well for Minnesota in Week 1. And then for Oakland, the Derek Carr to Amari Cooper connection looks like it, might be very dangerous and could be dangerous this week. So it's a little bit surprising the total has gone down. And then also, the line is very high. 4.5 points, although Minnesota is looking very impressive in their first 2 games of the preseason. So, and they won both of their games by at least 10 points. So, maybe in light of that, 4.5 isn't that high of a spread. What's your take on these odds, Joe?
I think the public is loving the fact that Mike Zimmer is a perfect 6-0 straight up in the preseason as a head coach. You are right. I do think that this Derek Carr to Amani Toomer, that's a nice young pass combination. And Carr showed some real nice flashes last year. He had what you would expect from a rookie. He had some ups and downs, but a lot more ups than downs. And, of course, he's got a nice new shiny object as a target. There's been some talk for the Raiders. You talk about quarterbacks that Christian Ponder might be a bit more motivated. He, of course, was a major bust in Minnesota. I don't know if that's going to be that much of a motivating factor for Ponder, but it's true. If he is going to have a chip on his shoulder, it might be here, but really it was his own fault. I think, if anything, the Vikings fans might be a little bit more raucous because they'll have somebody to boo because Ponder was terrible. Still, part of me wants to say that the Vikings, because they've done so well straight up, but as you said, that's being taken into account for. Also, one of my systems going against the home team off of a home win is 56-33. And the reason I like that, not just because of the statistical significance, but it's been very consistent with my observations with, what's that word I like to use? Urgency. So teams that have been playing well have less of an urgency. And in the case of the Vikings, there is a little bit less of an urgency. The Vikings, of course, have played the 1 extra game, so they've had some more snaps. But I'll go with my official pick to be the over because teams off of double-digit wins in the preseason have gone over at a 36-14 rate.
Well, you're getting a relatively low total and relatively good quarterback play overall for this game. Right now, 38.5 is one of the market-wide numbers, and that was my lean as well, but then I held off when I saw that the total went down. I saw 39.5 earlier in the week. Now it's down to 38.5 or 39. Does the line move concern you? Maybe that's because of their reports that Minnesota will be running the ball more.
No, that doesn't really worry me too much, and I do think that Minnesota, the Raiders really have to develop their young passing game. So I do think that they will open it up a little bit. So, no, it doesn't really concern me all that much.
All right, a curiously low total in Oakland, Minnesota, and Joe Duffy making an official pick on the over 38.5. Thanks, Joe.